each one of these dogs is different. So I adjusted to each dog. That's the difference of my approach. I don't think the dog has to fit my training. I think I have to fit to the dog. My name is Jeremy Moore. We've got a real small company. We're actually right out of Pulaski, Wisconsin, which is about an hour 15 from here. And we started out with our business, we started out kind of a niche product line. We developed some training products for training dogs to find antlers. From that, we went into the line of products for training dogs to track, find wounded deer. Now, I think a lot of people, when they, probably when you start thinking about retrievers, a lot of people, who here has a dog? I always like to try to customize this. So if you don't have a dog and you're at a dog training seminar, I see that. I get people that do that, and I think it's cool. A lot of times people are gonna get a dog, or they had a dog and now they're interested in just learning more. We're gonna talk today here primarily about gun dog stuff, because obviously we got the Waterfowl Hunters Expo, and our brand, our products, we're driven towards deer stuff. But my passion for retriever training started with gun dogs. And so I'm from Wisconsin. I went to UW Stout, which is over on the west side of the state. I had a lot of buddies from Minnesota there. And everybody knows that guys in Minnesota are big duck hunters. That's where I got into some really big time duck hunting. And for me, I love duck hunting. But if I don't have a dog with me, I really don't have that much interest in going. It's the most enjoyable part. And I think if you have a dog, you can probably relate to that. It's hard to get excited about me just shooting a bird, but the idea of I don't even need to shoot the birds. I like watching the dogs work. I like the idea of actually working with the dogs. So I look at this training process as just that. It's never ending. Like I don't have started and finished dogs. It's a training process. I train my own dogs. I train dogs for clients, a real limited number of them. But everyone in here that has a dog, put your hand back up again. Okay. You're training your own, right? Or are you sending them off? There's nothing wrong with sending them off. But if you're sending them off, this probably is a different conversation. You're training them yourself. I think you got a big advantage. Because I was just talking with a couple of people in our booth, and we were talking about the idea of what it takes to train your own dog. And it was you, I think, wasn't it? He brought up a key word that I thought was really important. We were just talking, and actually the conversation started about collars. Because you're going to see, and Ben had a nice little intro there, and I appreciate him reading that off. He had said something about, kind of known for low pressure training. I don't use a collar. When I say collar, I'm talking an electronic collar, a shock collar. I don't use one. Never have, never will. I don't have a problem with those that do. I just don't think I need one. And most of the times, I don't think people that use them need them. So I'm not here to convince people that use collars to not use it. What I am here is to help people that don't want to use it understand how to do it without it. So every one of these dogs, no one comes to see me. They come to see these guys, and with good reason. We'll start with least to biggest. Right here is Chief. Chief's 15 weeks old. Okay, Chief's mom is right here. This is Spry. Spry's 4 years old. Turned 4 in December was her birthday. Sit down. She is the daughter of Taylor. Taylor's in the back here. So I got this is the first time I've ever had 3 generations on stage at the same time. So I'll confuse everybody. We're not a breeder. I'm not a breeder. I'm not a kennel that breeds dogs for selling litters to the public. I do limited number of breedings. I'm very particular about the breedings because these dogs are going to be our personal dogs or clients' dogs. I train a number of clients' dogs every year. I really think it's important to match up the right style of dog to what you're looking for. So hunting style, lifestyle, and training style. We just talked a little bit about training style when I said I'm not going to put the dog on a collar. So there is a better fit for me out there with certain dogs. These dogs fit that bill. It's intentional. I think breeding is an art. It's a science. It's really in depth, but I don't want you to think you have to have a special dog to necessarily have a good one. The reason I do this, and I'm so particular about my breeding, is because it makes my life a lot easier. Like, it's way easier for me to train a dog that fits those 3 styles that I talked about: hunting, training, and life. If it fits, it just kind of goes together, instead of me really trying to have to manipulate and force things. Force is a word that we use a lot in training, and I'm not necessarily a force trainer. I don't use force fetch, and I don't use the collar. But I know what you're thinking right off the bat. You're going, where's his fanny pack full of treats? Because if he's not a force trainer, he's got to be a treat trainer. I'm not a treat trainer either. I don't look good in a fanny pack. So I'm not toting around kibble. But I'm somewhere in the middle. And I think that that's something that's overlooked a lot. I think balance is one of the most important words in training. And the reason is because I can go from one extreme with a dog to the other extreme. And I'll give you an example. 15 weeks old, he's his first show. Chief has never been to a show before. He's never seen the number of people. He was very surprised when the goose calling and the duck calling started, because we got a booth on our left and our right and one in front of us. And they're loud. And so it took a little while for him to settle in. Now, I have not trained him. I had him for a while. He belongs to my son. My son is in our booth. He's the guy that just came here. He is a sophomore over at UW Eau Claire. So I got my first dog, I got my first lab when I was a sophomore in college at UW Stout. He got his first when he's at Eau Claire. I'm kind of proud of that. I think it's a great little stepping stone. He has done a very nice job with Chief. Now, what I'm going to show you is stuff, and I want to talk about it especially here in this workshop, because after this, we're going to go outside. We're actually going to do some demonstration stuff. This seminar, we're going to talk a lot about foundation, because I'm a believer in the foundation is the most important part of everything we do in dog training. I know a lot of people will be bored with that quickly and they'll, not more of this. I'm telling you right now, you can't talk enough about it. Because everybody loves these guys. There's not a person in here that wouldn't enjoy a day hunting with these dogs. They're really nice. They hunt everything. I do sheds with them. This dog doesn't track. I don't track with her. These 2 I do. So when I say track, I mean big game, wounded deer. She's a really fun dog in a duck blind, Ellie. She's a little project of mine. Outside you'll see she's very athletic. She's got a lot of drive. She's really she's got a lot of heart. I like that about her. Taylor back there is the easiest dog I've ever owned. I've got a 2.5-year-old little girl, and she heels her around. She'd heel her around this show like she was a boss. I mean, she's just strong leader. She's 2.5 years old. That dog makes it very easy. So I like that, but everybody likes to see that. And everybody likes to see what we're gonna do outside, because we're gonna do some fun stuff. I'm gonna shoot a dummy launcher. We're gonna be handling the dogs. We're gonna be giving them lefts, rights, and backs. We're gonna do some long delayed memories. We're gonna do all sorts of stuff that's the fun stuff that you see on ESPN. Like, that's the cool stuff. I can't do any of that without first being able to do this. So when we started talking about the idea of it being a process, I listen to some podcasts. We do a podcast. We have a podcast, it's a dog training podcast. I listen to podcasts that are dog training, and I listen to podcasts that aren't. One of them that I'm just started listening to, it's Jim Rome, the sports guy, Jim Rome. He's got a podcast called Reinvention. It's newer. I started listening to it, and it's all kind of sports themed, but this is a beaten down idea that applies to dogs that I think, I listened to it literally on the way here this morning, about the idea of everybody likes the end. Everybody likes that destination. Everybody likes the winning at the end. But the whole idea of sports and the whole idea of training these dogs is, it's a long process. And a lot of times we like this part because they're fun and cute and they got that little puppy breath and they're really fun. I don't get that excited about little puppies because I can't do very much with him yet. Like, he doesn't trip my trigger. The girls at college love him. Like, just ask my son. Like, trust me, it's a move strategic on his part. That's great for little puppies. But I like that too. And a lot of people will say, I want one of those. I like them when they're there. The middle part to me, is the most fun because I run into some real challenges. This one, at 10 months old, I was struggling to get her to retrieve. It's a fine retriever. Got some dogs in here, so be ready. We're gonna make a little bit of retrieving. So we get everyone excited. Oh my God, bang, bang, bang. Duck calls, I listen to duck calls all morning. Where's my duck calls? I gotta have duck calls going, I gotta have all this excitement. This one stood up, wagged her tail, she's ready. These guys right here. Now, Ellie, come on. She says, it's a pretty steep. Come on, come on, come on. You can do it. Good girl. Heel. Ellie, go back. Pretty proud moment. She's going, oh man, this is great. I love it. Good. Good. Nice little delivery. Come here. Come here. Sit. Sit. The best part about that whole thing, I mean, she ran out, she picked it up, she brought it back. Okay, that's great. The best part about that whole thing for me was, guess what? This one right here. This 15-week-old puppy on the stand paid attention, stood up. Did anybody hear this puppy? Anybody hear him? Anybody see him do anything that I had to respond or jump to or react to? No. So what I call that, so raise your hand if you're a duck hunter. If your dog is gonna be a duck dog, raise your hand. What's the one thing that I can't stand? I won't put if your buddy's here and it's your buddy's dog, you don't worry, it'll be me. What's the one thing I can't stand in a duck blind when it comes to a duck dog? Whining, 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 breaking. I've had dogs where I go to reach for my shotgun and the dog's out the blind. Because he knows what's happening, he knows what's gonna happen. The birds are coming, I gotta get out there. I can't stand it. It takes away from the hunt. That's a quick way to get uninvited. When you got dogs that are whiny, creepy, breaky, no. So the best part about that little thing was him. What's my dog gonna do on the hunt? They're gonna sit on these little elevated blinds. If we're in the water, this is great, this is place training. That's place training right there. I use place differently than I do. A lot of people talk about place training. I think it's a really valuable skill. I use it in the house. It transitions to the show, it goes to the soccer field, it goes camping with me in the weekend. It's a skill. Go on that spot and sit there. The way this dog learns how to do that is, there's a clear perimeter. If it steps off, I'm there to correct it and say, no, get back up. As it goes to step off, I say, no, get back up. About the third or fourth time, these dogs are smart. Third or fourth time the dog goes to step off, and hesitates because he goes, every time I step off, he corrects me. And the dog goes like this and goes, nope, I'll sit. And the second the dog rocks back, I say, good boy, good girl. And now the dog goes, that's it? That's all you wanted me to do? Yeah, that's it. You can go anywhere you want on that bed, you just can't come off. The reason that it works is because it's elevated. It's clear, black and white, there's no gray area. This is even higher. I mean, this is an extreme of that. So what did my little chief just do? Got a little antsy, said, I ain't going anywhere. I might as well get comfortable. This isn't his first time doing this. But you know what it is? It's about probably the 15th time. He just started doing this a couple weeks ago. But he's become so accustomed to the idea of, it's a quiet place that I sit. Now, the steadiness part, I'm gonna show you. Who's got young dogs? Because a lot of this we're going to talk about, when I say young, how old? 15 weeks, perfect. A year? Year and a half? Do you have a young one? Year? 10 months? Who's got one over 2 years old? Who's got them under 2 years old? The majority are under 2 years old. The good part for you is you got a puppy. I call them puppies till they're about 2 years old. Now, it's not like on their second birthday they turn into dog, but like about that time is when I see the maturity level up here match the maturity level down here. There's a hell of a lot of dogs that are in that 10-month-old to maybe 16-month-old range that we get real frustrated with because they're dogs. Why don't they behave like a dog? They look like a dog. They're not a dog up here yet. So I love the idea of let puppies be puppies. But you got to realize everybody's idea of being a puppy is different. I hate the idea of let puppies be puppies if that means let them do whatever they want. Because if he did whatever he wanted, I'd have my hands full. He can really test. Trust me, in the booth, there was a couple of kids that came up to him and really wanted to pet him. I'll talk about a few of his bad habits. He's got a bad habit of wanting to flop. He likes to lay down. He's probably one of the first dogs that I've had do this. He's a very soft little dog, which I like. He'll come up, and about the time you go to start petting him pretty serious, he rolls over, he lays over. And 99% of the time, what do we do when they do that? We rub their belly. So he goes, perfect. I'm training them to do it. I'll come up to him, I'll sit down, I'll roll over, and they'll rub my belly. That's cute today. It won't be cute in 4 or 5 months when I got a dog that's bringing a dummy back to me and wants to lay down on his belly and get his belly scratched. So sometimes the best training that we can do is avoid the bad habit in the first place. That's oftentimes the most productive training I can do with a young dog. Avoid bad habits altogether. So what he does is he comes up to me, wants to roll over, I stop petting him. And I stand up. And as soon as he realizes that and goes, come on, nothing from me. He goes, well, I'd like to get petted. So he gets back up and I go, come here. And he comes up and as soon as he does, I pet him. And then he goes, that's all I gotta do. Sit here nicely, he'll pet me. Go to roll over, stop petting him. It's the simplest thing in the world. And it's probably something that we can practice dozens of times a day. But what we do is, instead we go, it's easier and it looks normal to just rub the belly. And then pretty soon the dog's 4 months old laying on his back all the time. So we avoid that. So who feeds their dog? Everyone should raise their hand. If you don't, they'll arrest you. You gotta feed them. No, feeding the dog is the best time to form these habits. Everyone who's got a puppy under 2 years old, here's the thing you can do. You can change this, because a lot of you are shaking your head and going, you haven't seen my 16-month-old. It's hell on wheels. Like it's a real hard dog to handle. Here's the best way to kind of start to change it. And I'm a believer in cultural stuff. Kids develop based on their environment. I believe that greatly. Like we're from Pulaski. Pulaski's kind of a farm. I would call it kind of a farm community. There's a lot of, we work with a lot of kids from Pulaski High School. They work with us. They work at our shop, and we work with the high school directly. And I am tired of hearing people complain about today's kids. Who in here is under 20 years old? Just a few of you. I'm sick and tired of people bagging on you guys. You guys aren't that bad. And I think if we really thought about it, we'd realize, when I was back in school, I had a bunch of slugs that I went to school with too. Like, there's a lot of really good kids out there right now. We just like to think they're all lazy. They're not. I got these kids that work with us out of Pulaski, they're phenomenal. I can get these kids to start understanding what I'm talking about a lot easier than a lot of you guys, and I'm not picking on you. But there's a lot of you right now that are going, you talk a really good game, but put my dog in your hands. Trust me, I did it already today at our booth. We had a dog that really wanted to yank its head in and out of the collar. So here's a drill I do. Who has this issue when you put the dog on the lead and then you take them off the lead, they want to take off. So it's really hard to get them off lead and have them under control. I see it all the time where you put the dog's collar on, you heel them around, and then as soon as you take the collar off, it's like you just opened up the floodgates of the hose and the water is everywhere. Come here. Now, my goal is not to have dogs on lead. I think they should walk on lead very nicely. I like that. That's a skill. I don't want to have them on lead all the time. I'd prefer to have them off lead. I walked in here with 2 of the dogs off lead. I don't like to have to put them on a lead. here's the issue. It starts right in the beginning. When we take these leads off, a lot of dogs throw their heads out. And that's freedom, because you don't have them anymore. They're gone. Here's a drill I do with my dog every day. When I start out, every single day, I take the lead, I slide it over the dog, and if you watch, pay very close attention, because this is why I say we're not using force, because when I just put that lead on that dog, I took away all of her freedom. Watch her tail. When I went to go put this lead on, her tail started going like this. That's her happy indicator. Like, she's in a good place. They have to be in a good state of mind to learn. That's why I don't come in here and act like I'm some type of gladiator. I think you gotta have respect for the dog if you want the dog to respect you. So I'm not gonna let her walk all over me, but I'm not gonna beat her up either. So I come in and I put the lead on, and that little tail starts to wag. And so if she pulls her head out, I'm right here. I literally am taking these two thumbs and I'm touching her ears as I pull it off. I'm making sure she knows it's coming off. Freedom. But if she goes to pull her head back, I go right back on with the lead. So I pull it off, and if she pulls, I put it back on. As soon as she doesn't pull, it comes right off. And I say, good girl, put it right back on. Do it again, do it again. I gotta put the lead on to take the dog for a walk. Take an extra 3 minutes and do this. Here. And get that dog so that instead of us, who's ever seen, so here's the other part. So you take it off and they fight it out. Who's ever seen the guy wrestle with his dog to get him back on lead? Dog's ducking his head, he's dodging, oh God, I gotta wrestle this thing onto the dog. Here's how I wanna put the dog on lead. Put your chin up and stick your head through the hole. Turn this into a game. Like, this shouldn't be punishment. So look at my dog's tail right now. Good girl. Good. That's a drill that didn't take me any more time, but we got something valuable out of it. Any one of you can do it with every one of your dogs. Come here. Here's the dinner time thing. Sit. Sit. So you feed your dogs. Let's say the dog comes home from the kennel. 7 weeks old, 8 weeks old is usually when you're getting them home. That kennel has been feeding that dog. Pay attention to each one of these dogs. You'll see who the food motivated ones are. Spry really likes her meals. So the kennel feeds the dog every day at the same time, usually 2-3 times a day. Then they come back to me, and I'm gonna feed them twice a day. When about 7 or 8 weeks, I cut it down to 2 times a day. So I'll go in the morning and I'll go in the evening. It helps me with my housebreaking. Like, put them on a schedule. I don't free feed. How do you know when they're gonna poop? I feed them, they poop. I give them water, they pee. So that's all part of this process of crate training and teaching them how to live in our house. So twice a day we do the food. I go over to the bag, I scoop it out in the same stainless steel bowls that they did, and somebody woke up when he heard that noise. Now, it's a weird time for him to eat. He doesn't usually eat this time, so he's probably a little surprised at what's going on. But when that dog first heard the bowl of food, back in the day at his kennel, he had a bunch of litter mates in that box that wanted to rip each other's throats out to get to that food, because it was the survival method of life. Like, I had to eat. You have all these dogs fighting for the same food. It's not only the most exciting part of the day, it's the best part of the day for those little puppies. That behavior came home to my house because they all got fed together for 3 or 4 weeks before they came home. When I took the bowl of food out and made the same sound, my dog went bonkers. I mean, it was excitement. Dog's jumping all over the place. I mean, so if I take the bowl of food, he responds that way. I set the bowl of food down. I just paid him for the behavior. Get really excited, get super jacked up, and I'll give you your food. There's your reward. So I'm not a treat trainer, but I gotta feed the dog. I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to train. So here's what we started doing. We take little Chief here, we get his bowl of food out. Now watch what he does. Sit. It didn't start out like this, guys. What it started out was him bouncing around. So what did I do? I scooped him up and I held him in my arms. He's a little puppy, and I hold him, and he's fussing, and he's wiggling, and he's fighting, and he wants to get down, and he's whining, he's making all sorts of commotion. And I just stood there and held him until he started to slow down. And the second I felt his little heartbeat, which was racing at the time, as soon as I felt his little heart slow down, I set him on the ground and I let him eat. We did that twice a day. Did that for about 3 days. Pretty soon I'd pick the puppy up, and the puppy very quickly understood the last thing that happens before I eat that food is I relax. I'm not so tense. So what do? Get the puppy, and the puppy all of a sudden gets in my arms, lays right out. Just, I'm gone, ready, let's go. So I take the puppy and I set him down, and I touch his feet to the ground, and as soon as his feet hit the ground, guess what he did? Because he knew it was time to eat. So I changed the game, and I said, okay, I'm gonna pick you back up. If your feet get antsy, I'm picking you back up. Next thing you know, the puppy's feet hit the ground, he's a statue after about a day or two of that. Because he realized as soon as he settles, I'm gonna send him to eat. He earned that reward. Then I get him to put his butt on the ground. So now, by about a week into this, I go get the bowl of food and I turn around. I do it in the exact same spot every day. Location is really important. Consistency is super important in everything we do. So now all of a sudden I got the same spot, the same routine at the same time. The dog has it memorized. I go get the bowl of food, I turn around, he's sitting in the spot that I feed him every time. He gets it. Now I start extending it like I just did. Make him stay, come back to him, add some time. This is the longest he's ever had to do this. But it's incremental training. It's A to B, B to C, C to D. If you go from A to Z, I see so many people want to teach little puppies to stay that first week because they should sit and they should stay. Stay is the last thing that's natural to a puppy. But if you build it in without taking any extra time in your training. Now, good. The reason I'm doing this is because it's been so long, I think little Chief might have forgot about the food. But you know what? Let's go back to that idea before where I said, who likes a dog that's quiet and calm in the duck blind? We're starting that already. He's 15 weeks old. It's taken me zero effort. Like I've hardly put any specific training into it, but I have done consistently all day, every day. I got a culture in my house. You watch our Instagram, you'll see the first week or two that I had him, he was about 10 weeks old. He was a real hellion. I mean, he would pick fights with every dog I had. I had a couple other ones at our house that were in training, and all he wanted to do was play. And so I'm not correcting that. That's natural. So what ended up happening, I put it on our Instagram story. This is what I like. You see what he just did? He just said, I might as well get comfortable. The guy's really jabbering right now. So I'm on a roll. He's gonna get comfortable. He's gonna wait it out. Instead of him getting antsy, instead of him breaking, instead of him whining, he realizes very quickly, I'm gonna be here a while. That's good patience. That's really nice for 15 weeks old. What ended up happening, and you'll see it on some of our Instagram stories if you follow us, is that dog bounced from dog to dog. This puppy went from dog to dog. I had them all sitting in my yard because I was getting stuff ready and I told them just to sit down. So 5 dogs sitting in my yard. He went from each dog and he tried to antagonize each one of them, tried to get each one of them to play. And finally he said, they're not gonna do it. And so what did he do? He spun around, he sat, and he looked at me. And I walked over to him and I said, you're a good boy. All right, guys, let's go. And then we went on. If it was a free-for-all at my house with those 5 dogs chasing each other around, playing and wrestling, and he would not think there's anything wrong with it. So I'm using those dogs. I'm not a believer in dogs training dogs necessarily, but I am a big believer in impacts of dogs on the dogs around them. And when you start talking about calm, quiet, and steady, that's what we need. So I want these guys to be calm, quiet, and steady at all times. He's earned this. He sat nice and quiet. Let's see if we can't. Now, I've never sent him for his bowl of food in a room full of strangers with dogs. We'll see how he does. Chief. So I send him on his name, and I say, Chief. And what does Chief do? Chief takes his time and says, I'll have some kibble. I've earned it. I mean, you do this every day. You can do this with a 16-month-old dog. just the same as a 16-week-old. The problem you're gonna have is that initial steadiness. You're not picking that dog up and holding them in your arms until they're quiet. So instead, by that point, I got that dog on a lead, and I'm holding that dog on a lead until they're calm, quiet, and steady. And I don't need them to be perfect the first time. I need them to show me improvement. And then the next time improve on that, and the next time improve on that. So it's all about incremental. Heel, sit, stay, and come when I call you. Those are the 4 things that are the most important. And those are the 4 things that I'll focus on with this dog. And I'm not even gonna focus on it. My son's he's on his own with this dog, but I'll be closely watching. But this dog, heel, sits, my kids are gonna be off in college. I had a person ask me today, came to my booth and said, how old's that dog? I said, 15 weeks old. He said, when are you gonna get him on birds? I looked at him, I said, I have no idea. Next year? Like, the last thing on my mind right now, this dog has a better pedigree than I do. Now, that's not saying much, but this dog has a really good pedigree, okay? Like, this dog has all kinds of potential inside of him from a hunt standpoint. It's been bred into them for centuries, like longer than our country's been around. That dog's been specifically bred to hunt, want to have birds, want to retrieve. So my focus on that right now is absolutely minimal. I would like to bring out some good habits. Like when he picks up my wife's shoes, I'm not gonna chase him around the house and say, no, don't pick those up. Instead, I'm gonna get down and I'm gonna encourage him to come to me. Good boy, come on. And he's gonna bring that shoe to me and I'm gonna tell him how good he is. And then I'm gonna pick my wife's shoe up. I'm not gonna tell her to pick it up, I'll pick it up. But then we learn this lesson. A lot of people have these issues. My dog runs off with stuff. Well, the kids play tug of war and chase with them with stuff in his mouth. It's not fair for the dog to think, I can do it this time, but I can't do it that time. So when our mentality starts to change and recognize these guys are always learning, so we always have to be training, all of a sudden training becomes really efficient and productive, and we start to see things go in the right direction. So that's some steadiness stuff. Now, heel work. People argue with me, they don't argue with me, but we talk about, myself and trainers talk a lot about what's the most important thing I think to do with a young dog like this, or any young dog. I think the most important skill in a young retriever is it's a coin toss. And sometimes, like with him, it's recall. He's not very good at recall. He is a thinker. He's a real thinker. He doesn't run off, but he doesn't want to come to me. Why not? Because I'm not that valuable to him yet. He's got to get, and I'm not a treat trainer, but I'm not afraid to use a little bit of kibble early on to get him coming to me to shape the behavior. But then as soon as he does, I take the food away and I replace it with praise pretty quickly. So before he fills up here, come here, come on, come here, come on, come on, come on, come on. Good, sit. Good. So you see how slow he is? He's a thinker. I don't mind that at all. I think he's a super intelligent dog. Chief. Come on, 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 come on. Good. Sit. Good. 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 A little bit of praise there. Come on. Oh, that's a good boy. Come on, come on. Now he goes, whoa, look at this guy. He's nicer than you. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, there's the sound that he likes. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Good boy. Good. Good. Sit. I always am finishing off a little sit with him. I've gotten into a little habit with him. Come up and sit. Come up and sit. Come up and sit. Come up and sit. Sit. Good. Now, I'm going to back up for I want you to pay attention to a couple things. 15 weeks old, but watch his eyes. Good. I'm never going to call him off a sit. Notice I told him to sit that time. I walked off. I came back to him. I'm never calling this little puppy off sit. Because what's one of the biggest things people struggle with their gun dog is steadiness. What is breaking? Coming when you're not called. So don't start forming the habit of being able to be called off remote sit. To me, sit and stay mean the same thing. I give them one command, sit. Stay is permanent. If I say stay, I'm not going to call you off. Sit, eventually, I might call them off, but not when they're this age. Because all it does is erode that steadiness. I love his position right now. He's gotten very comfortable with the idea of, this is where I should be. Now I'm going to show you something that he's never done. And my son, I wish my son were here, he'll watch the video. So recall is very important, and he's not very good at it, and I know that. Heel work is, to me, come on. Now, see what he just did? I'm gonna go over here and lay down. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Instead of me going to him, he's gonna come to me. Now watch this, I can feel it already. As soon as I put that on, he tensed up and he backed away. My son told me, he said, because I said to him, you better bring a lead to school with you. You're gonna need it. He said, Dad, I tried it. He hates it. He absolutely hates that pressure on the neck. Yeah, not surprising. This is very unnatural. They don't like this harness being put on. I'm gonna show you, we're gonna work through it. So he's never done it before. And I can tell right now that he's pretty tense. He's locking up right now. He's away from me. He's not where if I had him off the lead, I think he'd come right in. He doesn't want to. So heel work, to me, is about as important as recall. Got to get them to you, and then once they're there, heel is very, very important, because a lot of the drills that we're going to do outside, if I can't heel the dog very well, preferably off lead, we're in trouble, because we're worrying about trying to get the dog in the right position. Hell, I don't want to be worried about that. I want to be worried about the idea of the complication of the drill that we're doing, which could be multiple dummies and long distances and lots of distractions. I don't want to be worrying about heel. Heel should be second nature, but you got to get there. So part of the way we're going to do it is this lead. This is a lead that I developed. It's basically a slip lead, but it's broken into two pieces. I'll explain why in a minute. Now, he slinks in here and crawls in just nice and sweet, and I think he's doing everything he can right now to not have to move. He doesn't want this. We'll see. Chief, 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 heel. Come on, come on, come on. Good. Come on, come on, come on. Good. Come on, come on. Good. Come on. Read the body language. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Good boy. Good boy. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, good boy. Come on, come on, come on. That's a good boy, that's a good boy, that's a good boy, that's a good boy, that's a good boy. I don't want him going behind me, but I'm not gonna be super picky right now either. Come on, oh, come on, come on, come on. See the mechanism right now? Shut down. Most people, he's smart as hell. He just decided, if I lay here, I'm cute, I wag the tail, I shut her down, what will he do? What did I do? I stopped. I did exactly what he wanted me to do. I can't do it. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Good, come on, come on. Good, come on, good, good, good. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, good. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Sit, sit. I'm so happy with that right now, because his body language told me everything about I don't want to be here right now. He slunk down. His head was down. He wasn't sniffing the ground. It's not like he was interested. He just wanted to get out of this. But I wasn't going to stop. So as soon as he hung behind me, I bump him. Bump, bump, bump. And I'm going, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. I'm giving him reason to try to stay with me. And as soon as he does, you can't go very much longer than that. Like, that was plenty long, especially for all this distraction right now. But I'm real happy. He didn't fight me much. My son, the second he put a lead on him, he said Chief was a bucking bronco. He literally fought and squirmed and did everything he could to get out. Part of that has to do with the other guy on the end of the lead. My son is a pushover. He's not here, he can't hear me, I can pick on him. He's pretty soft. He doesn't want to be the guy that's pulling his dog down the road. Look at everyone's watching him beating up on this little puppy. Did anybody here think I beat the puppy up? I didn't let the puppy walk all over me, that's for sure. But I'm also not going to get so hard on this little dog. I'm trying to figure out where's the sweet spot to get this dog to move his feet. And so bump, 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 he comes to me good. Bump, 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 he comes to me good. Right now he's kind of sulking. He's kind of, all right, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. That's a good boy. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Little too much pressure. Come on, come on, come on. Good boy, good boy. Here, 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 here. Come on, 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 come on. That's it, that's it, that's it. Come here. Good boy, good boy. Good. Now, you see me shift, I changed my mind. As soon as that dog decided, I'm done with this, I'll lay down. I changed everything. I don't care if you're in position. You don't need to be in heel. Heel position to me is left-hand side. Let's put him up because he's done enough. I want him to, it's a great little session for him. I want him to think about it now. Hey, 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 hey. Not for you. Now, what can I do? I can finish that out just like I did, just like I told you. Because that was the first time I've put a lead on this dog, and he did a pretty nice job with it. So I want this, it's fresh in his mind. We just did 2 times, and now I want him to understand, go on and off, on and off, on and off. Now we'll build off that. I'm more than satisfied. What was real interesting there was I had to audible. I didn't know what he was gonna do. When he decided I quit, I'm laying down, I changed it. And I said, I don't even care if you're in heel position. I just want those feet to move. I don't want to have to drag you. So what did I do? I sped up my pace. I got real high pitched like a little, and I backpedaled. And I said, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. And when I did, his body came up, his tail started to wag, and he moved. He didn't dig in, he moved. So I got him to here and I said, we're done. I moved his feet. Doesn't seem like much. Big difference. Like that's a big step in the right direction. We went from digging in and saying, I quit, to, oh, okay, I'll come with you. It kind of looked like recall. It looked like a reverse heel is what it was. But out of heel position. But the thing was, is he had this on. So I might do that. I might have to do that for a couple days to get him just moving freely with this thing on and understanding that this doesn't mean I should lock up. And then once he decides he can move a little bit, then I'll start to worry about where you're moving, get you into position. I made 3 or 4 changes of direction. He's just too early right now to be worrying about changing direction. This is what it should look like. I want you to pay attention to eyes. Eyes, you got to own their eyes. When you own their eyes, you can do anything you want with them. They respect you. I'll give her eyes back too. Yeah. But this is what it needs to be. It needs to be nice, loose lead, and when I turn, it's with me. And when I turn, it's with me. And when I turn, it's with me. And then she's memorized that. So now, turn into her. And it takes all she can do to keep up, to get that butt around. That's hard for a lot of dogs to do. Because as I turn into him, watch what has to happen when I turn into her. When I turn away from her, this is how I start out. 180 degrees turn. That shoulder should stay right with my leg. But when we turn into her, look what has to happen. Do you see what she had to do? She had to lead with her butt. That's hard to do. The first time we do that with dogs, they stumble because what ends up happening is you actually have to get their bodies to bend an unnatural way. Watch how her body bends. Whoop, we caught her off guard. She says, oh my God, I'm out of position. I'm out of position. Thank you. Heel. There. Good. Good. I'm talking to her real soft. See how she's cheating a little bit? She goes, man, I'd really like to be out that half step. If you give her a half step right now, it'll be a full step by the time I get back to the booth. By the time I get back home, it'll be 3 steps. So I got to be precise when it comes to fundamental stuff. There was a wrong turn. Her body went this way, and all of a sudden she was out of position. Watch her hind quarter. Her hind quarter needs to bend, her half moon needs to be this way, and her front shoulders need to follow. Like, I'm that picky about this. Because if I can't get it right here, she's 6 inches from me. If it's not perfect when she's 6 inches away, we're gonna go out there in a little bit and I'm gonna ask her to do some things at 100, 200, 300 yards away. How is she ever gonna be able to do stuff at 300 yards with precision if she can't do it at 6 inches with precision? This is why this foundation is so important. Because if you build a building, I used to be in the trades, I was in construction before I did this, and if you build a building and your foundation is pretty good, it's okay, and then you start putting a house on top of it, about the time you roof it, you're gonna realize, I probably should have been a little bit better than okay, because now doors don't line up and windows aren't in, and I've got all sorts of issues with my flooring, and my wife's pissed because the appliances don't fit. All these things, and now you're gonna try to fix that house? If you pay attention to the foundation and you make sure it is precise, it's perfect. You can have a few little mistakes on the way up to the roof and it'll still line up and work. But if you start out sloppy, good luck. If you start out with a dog that you can't heel, hell, this is a crutch, this leash, so we need to get to the point. Now here's where this transition comes in. This is why I love this lead and collar combination. I just unhooked it, heel, heel, come on. Come here, heel, heel, heel. It's a little nervous to come through with the dogs. Come here, come on, come on, here. So what do? Location is super important in training. So she's nervous. She goes, I'd never seen a dog that color. I'm not sure I want to go past them. Heel, heel. Look at the hesitation right now, heel, good. Look at how she goes past him and goes, she speeds right up. She goes, I'm getting the hell out of here. Heel. 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 All of a sudden we get that dog out of the way and she decides, I think I can pay attention to you again. Location is really important. You can practice this stuff in the same spot over and over and over again, and then you bring him over to your buddy's house to show him how good he is, and he doesn't do it there. And you go, I don't know, man. He never does this at home. That's because where you practice is home, and he feels comfortable there. She doesn't feel comfortable in a new spot. So what I do, eliminate a few of the things that are throwing her off, bring her up here, work her on the lead a little bit, get her comfortable, slowly transition her off. You saw what I did was, I took the lead and I held it just like I had her on lead. I'm not quite sure she knows if she's on lead or off lead right now. Because the way this collar is designed, this part is hanging down. If you watch when I heel her, there's no pressure on it. It's just the weight of the lead. But I'm connected to it. I don't know if she knows or not. As soon as I unconnect it and I hold it right here, and what I can do is I can touch her. Every once in a while I can touch her shoulder to remind her, I'm right here, I'm right here. But we're heeling and she's off lead. And then eventually we can take the whole thing off. But that's again, that incremental part. Remember how we talked about we don't go from telling the dog being wild to feeding them and having to be steady. We take 4, 5, 6, 7 steps. I take 4, 5, 6, 7 steps in everything I do. Heel work is one of them. What I hope you took away from this was, wow, there's some really simple things that I can be doing to start shaping behavior. And I also think it's not that complicated. A lot of you probably are looking at me going, what? That was like a dump of a bunch of stuff in a really short period of time. It was. Don't be overwhelmed with it. I think what you need to do is take one step at a time. So we have a booth over there. We've got a YouTube channel. If you watch YouTube, we've got a YouTube channel. I would argue to say there's thousands of hours of videos on it. literally thousands of hours. We have a series of videos, puppy foundation, shed training. They're 4 hours, 3 hours a piece. It's steps, it's incremental steps. I think what you should do is research as much information as possible when it comes to training. There's other training seminars here this weekend. Watch them all. Watch every one of them. Listen to as much as you can, and then pick and choose what works for you. Don't say, I'm gonna follow your program. I don't have a program, because each one of these dogs is different. So I adjusted to each dog. That's the difference of my approach. I don't think the dog has to fit my training. I think I have to fit to the dog. So I'll make a few adjustments. The general direction's the same. But what we're gonna do is, and I ran a little long, so no questions right now, but we're gonna go outside. So if you got time, we're gonna take these dogs, we're gonna move out to the out area. There's a dog area out there, and we'll kind of extend this. But what we're gonna talk about is, you'll see why that foundation I just blabbered about for 50 minutes is so important. Because there'll be a lot of times where I'll say, remember when I said that was important? If I didn't have it, I couldn't do this. And then I'll do something else and say, I don't have a chance if I can't do that. It's a big puzzle, and we gotta have all the pieces first. Then we start putting them together. I appreciate you sitting in on this. I'm kind of a scatterbrain, but here's what I said when I started out. Relatively informal, right? Like, I didn't have a real script coming into this. But to me, dog training shouldn't be scripted. Demonstrations, if I go out there and I do a real fancy display, you're gonna be impressed and then upset, because when you go home, it won't look like that. So what I hope happens out there is we run into a few issues. I think that's the most valuable thing to see. Nothing goes perfectly for me either. But I don't get upset, I don't quit, I don't throw my hands up. We just figure it out, we take a step back, we reverse engineer it, and then we move forward. Thank you guys for sitting through this. We're gonna go out and we'll do some more fun stuff out there.